check. 1, 2, check, baby, check. All right, everybody, let's get this show on the road here. 1 second here while we bring the great Rodamus up. Ladies and gentlemen, good evening, good afternoon, or good morning, wherever it is in the world you're coming to us from. Welcome to the Space Lounge here on this Monday night, October 20th, 2025. As always, my name is Tom, otherwise known as Striking. The man in the box next to me is Mr. Pedro Garcia, the crypto chart analyst. We're coming to you with a special edition of DYOR Live called The Space Lounge. And I'd play some spacey, scary music right now, but I'm doing this remotely, so I don't get to do that. Pedro, what's happening tonight, Pedro?
Everything in the world, yes!
Yeah, baby, yeah.
Yeah, baby, yeah. Nah, everything's cool. Market has done what we thought it was going to do over the weekend. Bitcoin went sideways, and then today we saw it go up and have fun. So we'll find out what happens into tomorrow and the next day. We got a couple things here that I'm kind of looking at, but overall, man, things are good. Things are really good. Things are moving.
That's good, ladies and gentlemen. We've got this special edition of the Space Lounge here. If you're watching us here on either Rumble or YouTube or Twitch or X or wherever the hell it is you're consuming our content from, give us a comment here. We're watching the comments here on this Monday evening here. We'll be on for about an hour tonight. Then, got to make sure that Striking is ready. I have an event tomorrow, a real-life world event tomorrow. They're going to I'm doing an 8-hour live stream for a client, so I'll be busy with that. Pedro will be on the air with you tomorrow. Hopefully I can get Chris or somebody to help you out too. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, as always, we're an interactive show. Let us have it tonight. Give us some questions. We're going to talk smack tonight. We're going to talk about the markets, and basically Pedro and I can fill an hour up real quick.
Quickly. almost too quick. It's almost we can fill it with the most biggest BS in the world and still have a million people watching us. I know. Shocking. Absolutely shocking. Let's go. I'm about to hit the report sign on this. If you guys could do us a quick favor, hit the like, subscribe, and share button. And while you're at it, if you're on Rumble, there's a little comment section in the bottom. Please go in there and hit that little comment section. Make a comment, not in the comment message, but the comment section. You can actually make comments. Even before or after the show. That actually helps the algorithm. Me and Tom were thinking, why are we seeing such a drop off in viewership? And then we realized the thing we have pushing was the comment section. Even if you're just making fun of us, and then you make fun of yourself making fun of us, and or making fun of yourself, then making yourself, and liking all of them. And hence basically the Rumble algorithm goes, ooh. People like this. Okay. And darn it, they like me. All right.
They really love me.
Let's go. Boom. Doing a little more social media. But while we're at it, I'm going to give you guys a quick update. Me and Tom were talking about who started Bitcoin today. And what is actually happening with the global market. Things are selling off, but is it really going to keep selling off? Why is it that every single bear market turns into a bull market real quick? And why is that? And did I misunderstand what's actually going to happen in the market? And maybe I did.
Well, maybe you did, maybe you didn't, Pedro. Maybe you're just calling it until people say doing that old. I brought this up a little while ago, and it's coming true again. You know, it's been a long time. Pedro was on the grassy knoll back in '63 in Dallas. Oh, wait, that's a different conspiracy theory. But we got plenty to talk about, ladies and gentlemen, tonight. We've got cryptocurrency to talk about. I mean, where exactly did Bitcoin come from, and why? It's Satoshi? It seems kind of strange, Pedro, doesn't it? There's all sorts of rumors and stuff out there on the great interwebs on where Bitcoin came from. Quite complicated. I mean, like I said earlier, Pedro, I've said this on the show before. Whoever put it together, there's no way a single person put it together. Now, obviously, this is my opinion. I don't have some secret government documents or anything like that. Not that I don't. But anyway, the things they had to test to get it right. All the different, from the concept of it to the different way it's secured, from the nodes to the this and this check and that check, the UTXOs, and you give all your Bitcoin there and you get unspent back and this and that, and it all works. And the mining difficulty, people can spend billions of dollars mining it and the whole thing still works. Hey, seems to me that someone with a lot of resources put this together.
Mm-hmm. I do. And how it's deployed. I mean, here's the thing. Anybody knows whenever a entity gets big and awesome, it then becomes really big and crappy real quick. And there's many examples to explain and show that. Just ask Google many of their suites of tools. and other
exactly.
tools.
The greatest 3 words or 4 words founders can hear are Google just bought us, and the worst 4 words users can hear is Google just bought us.
Turn to crap. And the sad part behind it is this: it's too true. So true. Now, cool thing behind it is how come Bitcoin started in the scrapes of the dredges of society, and somehow come out of that into a financial system that basically is going to help save the fiat system. And why? And how did it get going? That's the real question. Today's DYOR conspiracy theory time.
Cue the X-Files music. Ladies and gentlemen, it's in the Space Lounge here. It's an unstructured talk about things.
Yeah.
If you watch this show enough, you know that Pedro brings up a lot of topics, and I go, oh, come on, there's no way. And then, of course, a year later, a bunch of them go, yes way. And so this is the night even Tom will agree with conspiracy theories and say, could be, ladies and gentlemen, could be. Like the conspiracy theory I have tonight, Pedro, the biggest one is that Toronto Blue Jays might go to the World Series. If they win tonight, just down the street. I mean, they're playing a couple miles right that way. I'm actually surprised I didn't go to the game. I should have.
I was going to say, dude, you should have. What's wrong with you?
I know, this whole work thing and getting ready for a big event tomorrow got in the way of it.
I know.
And then I'm spending it here with you, too.
Oh, man, I'm sorry, dude. That's a pain. But on the back end, I think what's interesting is Chrome is older than Yanny. That's important to understand. Speaking of Chrome, that massive Google thing. Now we were talking about the economy. So one of the things that I was actually having a hard time with this was. Now, I've been able to call the markets. You guys, I tell everybody to go check out our January 12th, or excuse me, January 20th show that we had. What was like 6 hours long, right? Something like that. There you go.
Yeah, it was a long time. Sorry, cheers to Baby Draco.
What up, baby Draco? Now, the reason why I say this because I think maybe at nauseam I'm over the Trumpian plays, right? One being seeing crude oil drop all the way down. And we'll just go through it, saying S&P 500 is going to shoot up, going to melt up, and then see a sell-off, major sell-off. Number two was watching bonds scream up, first seeing them down, and then go up hard, which is what we saw, right? We talked about yields going down. So bonds going up, yields going down. We saw the same thing happen. Actually, let's go through here real quick.
Hey everyone, is Pedro still echoing or is he good now? Let me know.
Am I? Conjugate number. Conjugate number. Conjugate number. Yo, my people, can you guys hear me?
Yes, on Pedro Echo. All right, let me work on that. Go ahead, Pedro. Keep talking. I know it's a minor league one, but I'll still work on it here.
All right. Well, if I'm not going and I gotta talk, then that's gonna throw everybody off and make them go crazy. But how about this? Since I'm not going, I'm gonna throw a little beat on.
I think I fixed it now.
All right, there we go. Everybody's like, no, Pedro box again. Shut up. Anyway, okay. So, all right. Nope. I'm still going.
All right, guys. I'll work on this here. Give me a minute here. All right, Pedro, your rap is the same, so you actually just have to talk normal.
Okay. Is this good? Can you guys hear me? Come on. Let's go. Am I still echo? Am I echoing? Come on. Hello. Bacon powder, cheese, green eggs, and ham. By the way, have you ever had a hash brown with green or with eggs and bacon all mushed together with sunny side eggs, or maybe medium eggs, and then you break them all together with a little bit of salt and pepper? It is glorious, absolutely glorious, man. I mean, like, to a point where when I eat that every morning, and when I do eat that in the morning, I don't know why, but it soothes my freaking soul. You ever have that moment, where like you wake up in the morning, you're just craving hash browns? Maddest thing. Whew. Anyways,
all right, Pedro, your echo is gone now, and I don't know why, but it's gone, and I'm not going to question it.
Okay. Awesome. Let's freaking go. All right, so let's jump it back here real quick. So we talked about how the bonds were sitting at that 540, and how I was expecting it to go to that 425 area, the 450 or 450 to the 425. This is the 1 month bonds, and then I said I expected to drop down to the 350 area, and then from there, if we start to see things get really crazy, we're gonna watch our potentially even come down to that 225 area, but we shall see. Actually, I'll put it here real quick again. If things really start to get hairy, this is kind of like what you're gonna expect. So obviously we're now coming back down. Fed is talking about dropping it again, and watching these markets drop down to that 350 area for the 1 month. This is short-term bonds, or excuse me, short-term yields. Let's check out the 2-year yield. 2-year yield, we talked about, it was all the way up here in January, and I said going again, seeing it come back down to these lower levels and potentially to that 250 area. Now, all that cool. Let's check about the bonds. Bonds. Boom. Bonds, we talked about basically coming down to our level of that 107.16 area and climbing all the way up to the 122, 121 area, and then potentially pulling back and going back up to that 141 area, which is still crazy to think about because it's bonds of all-time high. Now, I gave kind of the reason why, because of how Trump's trying to set things up, but ultimately, I think I had it a little bit off. I was reading the outward expression of the internal issue, and so this weekend I was sitting there talking to a friend of mine, and I had another friend who wrote a paper, sent it to a trading group, and I was reading through, and all of a sudden it hit me. Holy crap! I've got the wrong assets wrong, meaning when I was The assets that I was assuming that were going to drop and balloon out of craziness was the wrong ones, and it was actually the floor in which I was thinking the floor was steady, and I realized the floor was lava. Yes, and so this was
your mom's spaghetti.
I had your mom's spaghetti, vomit on your shirt already, but he kept writing, kept siphoning. Better believe somebody's paying the piper. All this pain inside amplified by the fact that I can't. Anyway, so what was so interesting was this. It was once I realized, if you look at it like this, if our system is, let's say, based off the US dollar, okay? And assets, okay, are on the same level, okay? But assets, when you see a deflation of something, they hold their value because they're actual assets. They're commodities or businesses that actually produce money. So what I'm going to say is look at it like this. The world and its land are pretty much two things. You have water and you have land. Okay? The water symbolizes the US dollar. And it runs the world. It runs the world. And your assets are like the land. Okay? Now, imagine if there was a hole in this world and all the oceans started shrinking and going into the middle of the earth. Okay? Now, would you say, if you're on the ocean, that the land is getting bigger? No, because obviously the ocean is shrinking. Okay?
Sounds like an Einstein question to me.
Well, kinda. And so I misunderstood. I was thinking that the world, the land should drop into the ocean, when in reality, the ocean was shrinking and coming down, i.e. the US dollar. It is losing its value through inflation. And so, the long story short, I realized this was we're already in the middle of this crash. US dollar is dropping, like we talked about. Now, it's a good thing and a bad thing. And the reason why is Trump understood what had actually happened with the actual US dollar, knowing that so much money had been spent on it and basically our money had been printed, that there's really no way to get out from underneath that heavy burden of that debt. And additionally to that, the US government, which I always talk about, is not going to stop spending, unfortunately. So you can see right here,
it's impossible, and the whole government shutdown is pending on whether they'll crank up the spending by trillions. The people that I'm not going to blame one party or another for the politics in Washington D.C. other than one party is in power and the other party said, "Well, we're going to hold you hostage until you put in $1.5 trillion of spending." The other party's like, "Nope, we're not doing that." So you're right, Pedro. They will continue to spend even when they don't have the money.
Absolutely. So there's two issues here. One, the U.S. government. Okay. So we have 1.7 trillion in Medicare, 1.5 trillion in Social Security. Then we also have to spend and we have to pay $1 trillion on interest. Okay. The problem is we want to bring in $4 trillion a year, and it costs us $6 trillion to go ahead and run the government. So that means 6, right? Which is how much money it costs to spend or to run the 6 trillion. And we only make 4 trillion, which means we have a deficit of $2 trillion. We're negative $2 trillion. So, because this keeps happening, we have to go to, who do we have to go to, Tom? We go to the Federal Reserve.
We go to the Fed, and they buy our debt.
They buy our debt. And then what they do is then they tack it to this guy right here. Okay.
Look at that. It's almost at 38 trillion.
Yeah, we literally have like 4 or 5 days.
Quickly, Pedro, welcome to the Spurgis family.
Oh,
thanks for everyone for joining us. Shireen, thank you for joining us. Jason, thank you for joining us. Really appreciate help getting the monthly Rumble chat number up. Hopefully we're approaching 20. If you can get some friends to come on over to Rumble. Maybe Jesus, if you could go over to Rumble, log in and chat. Give us credit for your chat for the month. I'd appreciate it. Welcome to everyone that's watching on Rumble and on YouTube and on Facebook and X. There's a bunch of you out there tonight. Appreciate it. For those of you watching on X, stick around. Don't just, and we know you're on the shitter and you just scroll by real quickly, but, open up a new window and listen to us. We'd appreciate it.
Absolutely. We really would. All right. So jumping back to here, because I think what's really important is this. Is I want you guys to understand the nuances that's actually happening here. And it's actually quite, and this is my bad, because I want to say I was misleading you guys, the wrong word, but I didn't fully understand exactly what was actually happening. I diagnosed the problems, but I never really looked at the real issue behind the problems. And I thought I did, and then until I realized, as I was reading my friend's paper to our trading group, that I was like, oh my goodness, I misunderstood how this actually works. That's because he wrote a letter on, he basically wrote a letter to the trading group because he's really huge into, come on, dude. All right, I'm just gonna do that right there. I'll do this again. So let me do this again. So it will make it simple and easy for you guys. All right, and it's good to have you guys, every one of you. You guys rock the mic. All right, so check this out. We have a couple problems here. One, we actually have the U.S. debt, right? Or the government spends money, and it basically incorporates these guys right here. Okay, it's basically $6 trillion that we spend on a yearly basis. Actually, I need a darker blue.
Not 3, not 4, not 5, not 7, but 6.
Yeah.
The holy hand grenade of Antioch.
All right, so that's these guys right here, okay? These dudes right here. This is where now me and Tom here, and everybody else who's watching us is in America, we contribute to this right here, and also this. We will never see this because this is basically going to be bankrupt in about 8 years, 6 to 8 years. And so we'll never see our own Social Security or Medicare unless we decide we want to go on disability, which I'm not, unless God wills me somehow to be an invalid. But as of right now, God willing, I'll never be there. But still, I probably
stay out of the car, Pedro. You've had enough trouble with that damn thing.
Right. All right. So speaking of that, all right, no, just joking. All right, so we got $6 trillion. $6 trillion. Now, we only make $4 trillion. Okay, so we are in a negative $2 trillion. So we go to the Fed. Right, the Federal Reserve, we come over here. And the Federal Reserve says, okay, I will lend you through the Federal Reserve and the World Bank money so you can, i.e., run your government. We say thank you, but what happens is they tack it right onto here. And this guy right here, guess what? Gets bigger every single year. So I've talked about we have $2 trillion. $1 trillion every 100 days, we see the market go, or we see our debt go up, right? So over the last year, we've talked about this getting to probably by the end of the year, like $39 trillion, just being honest, right? This gives us an additional $2 trillion into our debt in addition, because we have to pay interest on that. And guess what? We cannot pay off the interest. I mean, we're barely paying it off. Okay. And every single 100 days, we accumulate more and more and more. And that 100 days goes from, and this is really important. Give me 1 second.
Pedro, isn't more better? We're Americans. More is better, right? Bigger is better. More is better. Isn't more debt better?
I wish it was. I really wish. All right.
It's all right. We'll just get all the stablecoin people to buy it, and then we'll be fine.
I like it. Okay. So this was supposed to be bigger. Come on. All right, this will work. Okay. Now we just went over that simple math. Now what's interesting is we're now negative. Dude, come on. Oh, let me do it.
Come on, Smalls.
Come on, Smalls.
Anyway, you need to hurry this one up, Pedro. It's going on a long time here.
All right. Anyways, so look at it like this. Trump realizes that. So Trump says, hey, we need to figure out a way to export our dollar, our debt to the rest of the world. And we need to figure out a way to drop that debt and get the rest of the world inside of this debt. And so what do? They create a way to do that called stable coins. Yes, people, stable coins. Now, how does that happen? Well, just like we talked about this happening almost 2.5, 3 years ago, right? The summer, not this past summer, but the summer before, which was almost 2.5 years ago. I talked about how, actually this was even in March, April, May, when we talked about this, how the U.S. government is going to have to export through stable coins the ability for the rest of the world to buy our stuff. If we nationalize, literally, crypto and make this an adoption. Now, we talked about this because basically that's what was most likely going to need. And I said it very nonchalantly, like I normally do when I'm that positive, when I'm that sure about things. You've all seen this. How many times Tom goes, you think price is going to go down there? What do I say? Yeah.
It is.
Yep, it will. And then I just leave it go because the truth is I've done the math. Anyways, so my biggest issue I realized was this, though, is I didn't realize that the dollar itself, which is the underbelly of the whole entire system, is completely being eradicated. And I thought that the whole entire system, like assets and all the other stuff, was going to go down. Stock market was going to drop. Housing market was going to drop. I had been following the housing market, checking everything out. You know, we go over interest rates and the buying of houses. But what's been happening, the reason why people have not been able to buy houses, why? Because they're too expensive. Why are they too expensive? Because inflation. Why do we have inflation? Because we keep printing more dollars we keep putting more dollars into the system. So what they've done now is Trump says, hey, we know people want to buy crypto. We're now going to make every one of those USDTs and USDCs to have to buy what, Tom?
U.S. Treasuries.
Ding, 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 ding.
This is the greatest scheme of all time, ladies and gentlemen. Pedro and I have stumbled across this because we're the only ones in the world that figured this out. Wink,
No,
wink.
we're not.
No, we're not.
But
the people that figured it out were the ones that said, let's legalize stablecoins and make it law that they have to be backed by U.S. Treasuries.
And this
Pedro,
is why,
if I were to lend, say you had a bunch of money and you wanted USDT. You wanted to say, I want to trade, I have $1 billion. And you want to trade crypto, and I am somebody that can issue USDT, like say a lending firm, like you have $1 billion in Bitcoin, and you say, here, I want some USDT. I said, so okay, You give me the your Bitcoin, I give you USDT, and I have $1 billion. So what do I do with that? I have to buy treasuries to back that securely. Now you buy the USDT. USDT has to mint $1 billion, and they have the money because I transferred it to them. What do they do with it? What do they do with the cash? What do they do with all their cash? Their $170 billion in cash.
They go to Ibiza, and they basically...
I walked into that one. They also buy U.S. bonds. So every dollar that goes into the lending to buy, it is borrowing. I got it all out of order, Pedro, because it's so mind-blowing.
Yes.
But in essence, $2 of U.S. treasuries need to be bought.
Yes, literally.
Every time someone borrows money from a lending, $1 from a lending
$1
firm
turns into $2. Yes. And the other part behind it as well, and I think this is really important to understand, is that as this is happening, if you're not in crypto, in particular Bitcoin and crypto, because we know that as Bitcoin rises, we see altcoins rise, as well as other like Ethereum, like the top 100 and even the smaller coins, right? Because they're all based off of chains, and those chains are the underbelly of many of these tokens, right? That we see move up. So it's really interesting to understand that. Now, now what we're saying here, this isn't conspiracy. This is not conspiracy. If you follow the breadcrumbs, you can see this. Now, the conspiracy part behind it is this. Okay. Now, this is where I want everybody to put on the freaking tinfoil hats, because this stuff is about to get. Should I talk? I'm gonna start talking like, what's his name? He talks like this, and I'll tell you, this is what's gonna happen. Who's that guy?
I have no idea.
Jones.
Alex Jones.
Listen, buddy. Okay, this is what's gonna happen. Doggone it! I hate it when those people. Anyways, I was trying to do an Alex Jones impersonation. No disrespect. No disrespect, Mr. Jones. I'm just saying, you get very animated and very, very animated. But now, what's interesting is this. Okay, me and Tom were sitting there. We were talking. I was telling him how, I think I messed up here because this and this. I need to what's the word? Readjust my thought on this. Everything that I've talked about, I still expect to see. I do expect to see crypto to skyrocket. I expect to see bonds go up. I expect to see everything. But now I actually see the full picture, what's actually happening. Instead of analyzing the symptoms, I'm now analyzing the root cause of the symptoms, which is kind of helped me out quite a bit. So here's the conspiracy, though. If this was created in 2008 by a group or a person or an entity, male, female, them, and I mean literally like a group of them, or who knows, they had to sit there and understand. First of all, they had to be very, very smart. If it was supposed to be one person, they had to be very, very, very smart.
And thorough.
And thorough. Extremely thorough. And to only have two problems with the launch of Bitcoin, which was, what was it? They forked it twice, I believe you said, and during these time periods. Now, even then, like you ask anybody who starts a business and gets it up and running, you have, hundreds of reiterations of it. Just ask anybody who's created an AI and have to go through and fix things. Just look how many window versions there are. You're
iterating and iterating and iterating, right?
Yeah, exactly. Well, check this out. How could they have done only 2 times? How? What brilliant group of people or person could be that good?
The first 2 words that come to mind are Fort and Meade. Where the U.S. Signals Intelligence and all that group comes up. I am not one to postulate about conspiracy theories, because in reality most of them are false, but in reality a lot of them are true, a small percentage, and this is just one of those ones you're like, something like that doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense, some little Japanese guy in his basement, or American guy or whatever. It just him and Hal Finney and another dude were figuring it out and said, we're just going to release this to the world, and it's going to work. It's going to work so well, people will build data centers the size of Texas and consume all the power in the grid to make it work, and it does, and it doesn't break. It says, okay, there's a lot of people doing this, we'll make it harder. There's fewer people doing it, we'll make it easier. We'll give you this and give you that, do that, we'll take this, we'll charge this, we'll do that, bada bing, bada boom, done. And it all worked. And there's no evidence of it being tested. Everything else on the crypto, you can find evidence of being tested somewhere.
Yeah.
Like with ETH, you can find all sorts of old nodes and old ones that ran on their test network, all this type of stuff. With Bitcoin, zip, nada. There's no evidence.
Zilcho.
Except for like the emails they've released from Hal Finney and the text messages and stuff, them talking about this and that. But as far as like, oh, here's the underpinnings of it. Here's where it started. Like when the internet was started. The internet was started because the Defense Department, another U.S. government thing, Defense Department through ARPANET before DARPA, wanted to exchange nuclear data between universities faster. So they said, well, instead of carrying a courier with these giant disks that were this big, let's work on communications. And they, along with Bell Labs, they figured it out to connect universities far away. And that was in the late 60s. By the early mid-70s, all the universities are on it. By the mid-80s, yada, yada, yada. And by the 90s, then commercial companies started getting on it. And then, it took off. And there's all sorts of history about it. This is, you can go and the internet is littered with the original root nodes that still say ARPANET in them from the original internet. And is there any original nodes from Bitcoin? Is there any? No. Let's get the conspiracy theory going, ladies and gentlemen.
No.
Where did it come from?
Where? Show me the beef.
Show me the nodes.
Show me the nodes.
I'm in a hotel room. The people outside are like, what the F is going on in that room?
Show me the money.
And I'm in Canada, so the NSA is probably monitoring the cross-border communications here. And they're like, we better red flag this guy.
Go. So what's interesting is this. Okay, so Tom has elucidated on this and brilliantly. Now, here's the thing. Let's follow potentially. We know that we called him Hal Lindsey. What's his name?
Hal Finney.
Hal Finney, thank you. Hal Finney did have ties to the CIA. We know that he's been a part. I want to say part of it because we don't really know. He's kind of a quiet guy, but we know he has some ties there. And additionally to that, when you look at the connection between the CIA and kind of like the progenitor of this movement, when you look at this, and this is where I'm going to bring up some old stuff. So many of us old heads will remember the mockery. And this is when you really saw mainstream media really start to attack a president. And I'm going to bring up Junior. What's his name? What Junior am I talking about here, Tom?
George W.
Bush Jr. Now, do you remember when prior to him, yes, many presidents became under fire, but not like as a complete idiot. I mean, it was border. I mean, we think Trump has been looked at. Well,
I'm going to go on mute for just a second, Pedro. I'm listening to you, though.
That's right. So there we go. All right. So we see what happens with George W. Bush Jr. Now, why was I saying George W. Bush Jr.? When he came on the scene, he's not an idiot. If you've watched any of his debates, he's actually talked to a lot of people now. Like if you look at him, many people, he's very, 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 very well respected. He's very well respected in the world as we speak right now. I mean, when you see Obama walk around with George W. Bush, I'm gonna start calling him Junior. Forgive me, sir. Don't come and kill me. But what's interesting is this. All the presidents kind of walk on eggshells around him. He's the lead president. The only person who may not really kind of bow to him is Trump. The rest of them, though, straight up are like G's with him. Like they're not They don't joke. Like they very much walk around him, and they very much are like, "Hello, Mr. President," right? Like it's very serious. But prior to him, people really consider, as presidents, like just looked at and respected. You may disagree with their policies, but they were not attacked like he was. And I always thought that was really weird. I mean, he was really looked at like he was a complete idiot with mainstream media. And so me and Tom were sitting there going like, that's interesting. And we know because of what happened, what he set up, he set up three primary things, right? One was the Patriot Act, which basically took a lot of freedoms away from the United States citizens. Two, he pushed really no child left behind, right? Like that was really his mantra, right? And then the third one, and this is really important, right? Everybody should have the American dream, which basically pushed for the 2008 bubble, with banks really taking that and leveraging a lot of those loans that we saw explode in the 2008
home ownership and college education. They dumped tons of money and credit into that market, and they blew up both of them.
Blew them up. Boom. And who stepped in to save that? It was the government, because it was so big that nobody else could save them. So it was the U.S. government who stepped in. And who backed the U.S. government? The Fed, right? Boom. And hence putting money into the market. But the reason why I say this is that when you look at the scale of this movement, we saw then after he steps out of office, we see Obama step in. When Obama steps in, he comes in and he sets up some of the practices that we see today, where literally, how is America going to solve these? We went to the Fed and saying, we need you to cover this. And they said, all right, cool. But that stamped on literally like $4 or $5 trillion onto the U.S. debt, which really propagated the movement that we see today, where it's sitting at 37, almost $38 trillion now. Now, this is the part where it gets really, really like, I'm getting Alex Jonesy like, okay? And listen, I love my buddy Tom's healthy skepticism. Okay, so I've talked about this, and we, like he keeps me kind of on balance, and he goes, dude, you're a knucklehead. But then I ultimately am right here normally. And he's like, dude, how'd you figure that out? I was like, anyways, so I don't know. I just call it maybe intuition from God. I don't know. Anyways, so the reason I'm saying this is this. All right. We know that who is Trump, or not Trump, who is Bush connected to? Who
his
served?
Father.
Oh, what? But his father.
And amazingly, he's connected to George, another president, by birth, by lineage. He's connected to.
And what previously to him becoming president, and under many other presidents' tuteleship, or what job did he serve before he became president?
I believe George H.W. Bush, the elder, the first Bush president, was the director of the CIA.
What? Whoa!
Yes! Can you believe it? Whoa! We're getting huge ratings now. Look, we're getting up to 20,000 people watching us. InfoWars!
Okay. All right. So here's the part that's so crazy. If I'm George W. Bush, I see what's actually happening, and there's no way that we can get the rest of the world to buy it. They see China actually stepping in, going, you know what? Because of what Clinton did and everything that was happening there, no new taxes, which is what he said, right? Then Clinton comes in, pushes things out. We then see, how do we right this ship? Well, we right the ship by basically employing a new currency system called a Bitcoin. And so me and Tom were sitting there talking about it, and I go, well, how are you going to push it out then? If it's, like we talked about earlier with Google being, like what's the best way to destroy a company? Have Google buy it, right? So, like make it mainstream. So how do you keep having it reiterate and just get better and better and better without really falling apart? And also we started thinking, well, we know that the CIA introduced crack cocaine into inner city neighborhoods. We also know that Project Paperclip, that was really hard for me to say. And so we know about all these things that have actually happened And they've come out and they've talked about it, or at least they released statements about it, right? Like, hey, yeah, this was us, blah, blah, blah. Well, it would make sense that if they're going to do nefarious things to bring about something good, how would they get another good thing to actually come out? Well, if they were smart, they create this thing called a maybe Silk Road, off the old Silk Road where anything could be sold. And then
how many of you remember the old dark web Silk Road? How many of you actually watching our show, whether you're watching it now or on replay later, actually went, loaded up Tor, and went to the dark web's Silk Road? I did, and it was cool. It was whatever you wanted to buy was for sale. It was like, wow, this is what eBay would be like if it was
kidneys, like literally. Like, it was nuts. Dude,
RPGs, firearms, drugs. What?
Name it. You know, like, it was crazy. We're crazy up in here. Up in here. Up in here. Now, here's the thing. The guy who goes to jail for it, even himself says, I never created this. It was just handed to me. You know, by who? Who was it handed to?
Who?
Whom's?
Pedro, do we know? Ross Ulrich was the guy that took it over.
Who went to prison?
The original Dread pirate, whatever his name is.
Dread Roberts.
And is there any evidence that this original person existed as a human?
No.
Nobody
knows.
Is there any evidence that the Satoshi Nakamoto existed as a human?
Yeah. No.
As an individual human?
Nope.
No.
You don't know.
The coincidence, Pedro?
They're real. Things to make you go,
Once again, get the X-Files music cue.
Now, here's the thing that's I think is so interesting, is because they set it up that way, and I literally mean them, it was able to grow something grassroots, Bitcoin. Bitcoin was able to get its claws in every facet of life through the Silk Road around the world, like an evil, dark lord, like Sauron, gazing along. Sorry. The evil eye, going through everything. But what's interesting is this, though. It got its footing there. And it got pushed into so many things that basically it became part of a society, first as a nefarious situation, but then from there it became, well, mainstream. You got people to talk about it. At first, it was the drug money. Then it became fake money. It's not real. 2, once it hit 1,000, sold off, and then it's still
went down to like $100 after it was 1,000.
Went to 100%.
90% retracement. It's over.
It's over.
Done.
It's done. So get out of here, as my East Coast friends say. But here's the thing: it didn't. It came back. Now, most things, the only thing that has that type of record is the Church of Christ. Him going from a 2,000-year-old religion, right? That basically a bunch of peasants with no war or anything became the world's religion and stuck around. That's the only thing that has had that much power, where it can go down to 0 or almost 0 and then come back even stronger. Apart from that, well, I don't really know what else. I mean, can you name one? I can't name one. I mean, I'm not to say I'm a history buff, but I like learning about history. I mean, there have been some wars that I could say that were pretty good, but even then, I mean, you know, the American Revolution, not Revolution, yeah, American
Revolution.
For
independence.
There you go. That's the word. The fight for independence. This ragtag group of knuckleheads saying, "I do not want to be taxed 1% for my tea without representation." Yes, people.
And we're not just to get these documents legalized. We're not sending money all the way across the ocean to the crown. We're getting rid of the Stamp Act.
Get it out of here. So besides that,
that's going to go on a tangent, but it's not time for that.
No, please go on the tangent. Go.
I've done business all around the world. In a number of countries you go to, when you accept a proposal or a sales contract or something like that, the people literally get their ink and stamp it like this, or get the emboss thing and emboss the contract and all that. But they love stamping it. Over in Egypt, stamping. India, stamping. The UAE was like that, not anymore. Stamping. And they're like, "Yeah, your document's not official. You got to stamp it." I'm like, "We don't do stamping." They're like, "What do you mean you don't do stamping? We're Americans. We don't stamps thing." And they're like, "Well, we don't. But you have to." I'm like, "Don't you understand how our country got started? We threw the British out, the last straw of all the things that the king was pissing us off at, when he tried to put the Stamp Act on, and we had to pay." Every legal document had to pay him a little bit of money, and that's when we went into the harbor and threw the tea in, and we haven't stamped anything since then. And they looked at me like, "You Americans are crazy. You have to have stamps." And we're like, "No, because you got that from the British. Out.
Out with your head."
So I never had to stamp anything. They're like, "That's the American. It's fine."
He's no American. But I think what's so interesting is that in this process, we see another Lone Ranger, kind of like one of those anime, like sword fighter killer guys who cry out killing people, and at the same time justified in the dark lore of the Japanese culture. They fight for justice. Well, i.e. Bitcoin. So it's really interesting to see what happens. And so me and Tom were sitting there going like, man, the genius of this, of being able to back up and get the world to buy the rest of our debt. And I mean, not to say it's going to happen for an eternity, but well, I mean, as long as people are willing to buy crypto, and we keep seeing, and this is the part that's so crazy once I finally realized this, and this is what literally Mr. and this is what what's his name talks about. Mr. what's his name? Saylor. Dr. Saylor talks about this. Is he a doctor? I think he's a doctor, right? PhD.
I think he is. I think he's got a doctorate of something. Doctorate of wizardry.
Wizardry. Hi-ya! Maybe he's a financial wizard. Financial karate wizardry person. That's what we're gonna name him. We're just gonna call him financial wizardry doctor financial wizard karate person. That's it. That's a good title.
With that.
Yeah. What is? I'm just curious. What is Michael?
While Pedro's doing that, ladies and gentlemen, the behind-the-scenes studio thing isn't working right. I know there's a couple of you watching on Rumble. If you could give us a shout-out in the chat on Rumble, I'd appreciate it, to let the algorithm know how many people are here. Makes a difference to us. We only got a few minutes left in the show tonight. I got to go watch the Blue Jays attempt to get into the World Series. I'm in Toronto right now. I'm just down the street from the Blue Jays are playing right now against the evil people from Seattle, otherwise known as the Mariners. But drop us some love in the comments here so we can make sure everything is kosher on the.
That is so interesting. Check this out. He has a PhD in nanotechnology research, and he was a professor at University of California, San Diego, known for pioneering work in porous silicon nanotechnology and biosensing applications. So there you go, Dr. Wizardry karate financial person. And so the man sits
my
there.
brother. Now we fight.
All right. So what's interesting is this, and this is so interesting in all of this, is that as the U.S. debt here goes up, we need inflation to keep this steady. So as inflation goes up, We then need people. That means Bitcoin will go up because it's an asset. It is a limited asset. There's 19 million. There will only be 21 million. And guess what? As it keeps getting mined, it becomes less and less what? It becomes more and more scarce, which means it will not literally depreciate because there's only a fixed amount. And so what's interesting is that by the US going through and saying, if you're going to buy any type of crypto in America and you want to do business with crypto in America, what do you have to buy? USDT and USDC. And we've talked about how there will be many other stable coins by large corporate entities, by city states, by nation states. They will have to create some form of stablecoin that we will actually interact. And the fact that, I hate to say it, but the rest of the world, like BlackRock, many of these large institutions, they're buying as much as they can of Bitcoin because they actually realize that that's actually, as Michael Saylor has said, going to be the ground floor for the debt system. So that if you want to, you're going to have to take a Satoshi and then make that into a debt obligation that you will pay back on interest versus who? The Federal Reserve. And so basically, if we can inflate the system and create a new currency in which is backed by the US dollar, yes, inflation will happen, but Bitcoin will become the basis of it and or crypto. Because as Bitcoin goes up, we see crypto go up.
All right, Pedro, let's take a quick break here. Welcome, Cubicent, or Cubicient, or what, I can't ever remember what it is. Welcome to the show. He says, whoop, whoop, as does Crypto Unicorn says here. Whoop. Connect Me One says, whoop. Crypto Mike says, I made it, ladies and gentlemen, and gives us the green sirens for, I guess, the St. Patrick's Day. Beers are coming.
Beers are coming.
Anyway, thanks everyone watching us tonight on Rumble, YouTube, and Facebook, and X, where we're broadcasting this special edition of DYOR Live called The Space Lounge, ladies and gentlemen. We're talking about the perils of the US dollar, maybe even hitting at a little conspiracy theory about Bitcoin and other things like the dark web and the Silk Road. Where did it start? Who started it? Why is there no evidence of these people starting it? Cue the X-Files music. Do, 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 do. Sea Lady, welcome to the house. Thanks for joining us. Haven't seen you in a while. Appreciate you coming on and joining the show today. It is an interesting conversation. Pedro and I normally are pretty market oriented with the charts and everything. Today we're expanding a little bit into education and just some evening BSing, which is fun here in the Space Lounge. Thanks for joining us, Sea Lady, and everybody else. Whatever platform. We only got about 10 minutes left in the show here before I gotta run. But we hit upon, for those of you that missed the early part, Pedro and I were postulating on just who is Satoshi Nakamoto. Where is he,
lady?
Or she, or it, or Fort Meade? And who are all these people that worked on it to help get it ready to be just about the most amazingly well thought out project ever that didn't need to be tested in public? Who thought out the dark web that came up with Tor? We know the U.S. government did admit to funding Tor for a while, and they may still give it a grant every year or so. Also, Pedro, I have to bring it up. You know, I use the app Signal all the time. That's another one that started out in just like this guy Marley Moxon Spike or whatever his name was. I'm like, that's a CIA cover name. Was the creator behind it, and it just evolved into this amazingly secure thing that I might add our own crypto swamp creature Chris uses Signal, and when he was with the U.S. Army in their intelligence group hunting down the bad guys as part of the war on terror, they all used Signal, and I'm like, if they all use Signal, they know it's secure. Where did all these things come from? They made early adoption ubiquitous by being on the edge and early adopters not forced on us and all that type of stuff. My postulation: there's a group in Fort Meade or in somewhere else, one of those secret skunk works inside one of the communications groups of the U.S. government that has just said, let's come up with some cool stuff. And if we try and force it on people, they'll never use it.
Never.
If we just let it go out there and percolate, they'll love it. And here is a good analogy, Pedro, because this is one of the best memes ever. It's two panels. The first panel is it's kind of like stick figure-ish.
Stick figure.
It's two panel cartoons.
I got you.
And the first one is a president of the United States holding up a device saying, here is the latest tech. It is a tracking device that we're going to make all of you carry. And everyone in the United States has to carry this tracking device, and it records everything you do. And then the next scene is the people revolting and burning down the White House. Now, the other part of the comic is Steve Jobs standing on the stage in his typical black t-shirt, but it's a stick figure, and he says, here is a device. All of you are gonna carry it. It's called an iPhone. And the next panel is everyone cheering and holding him up in the air like he's the greatest thing ever. And the corollary is the same, meaning if the U.S. government brings it up as we're making you do this, the world will revolt. If a company that with a cool guy leading it and all the hipsters saying, yeah, it's the greatest thing ever, says, we're going to give you a device that will track your whereabouts, record everything you do, allow the government to spy on you, they'll be like, yay, we still love it. And it's my postulation. Is that even a word, postulation? Well, I just made it up. That Bitcoin, Signal, Tor, and the deep web, and the Silk Road, and all that type of stuff, or ultimately someone going, this is all good stuff. And they had a nice little black budget in the U.S. government. Let's do it. And that's my conspiracy talk for the evening.
I like it. So, Tom, I know you said you had an hour. Thank you guys, all you guys who came in tonight. We wanted to put at least an hour in. I can see how it works. Great stuff. Thanks. Appreciate that, C lady. Miss ya. Hey, we'd love to have you over at Rumble. Come create a Rumble account and come hang out with us because you rock the mic. Yeah, baby. Yeah. Okay. Yep. What's up, Cubic?
Still, he writes it out completely how to pronounce it, and I'm still like, I don't get it.
He's still screwing it. Come on, man. Come on.
Come on,
you know what's
Smalls.
weird? Come on. You know what's weird? I only see one person watching, but
I know. So that's why I said something's wrong. On the studio in the back end, usually I can see the details of all the different streaming, and they're all at one. I know it's not right.
Yeah. Cubic end. There you go. Yes, baby. Cubic end Q. You got it. Look at that.
We'll just call him Q. Let's make it simple.
What up, Q? Keep on keeping Q. Like the letter big, like the lighter.
Oh, wait, don't make Pedro read from the screen.
Cube like a six-sided square box plus ick, as the girls say when I come and say what's up, mama, and let me get your digits. Ick as a yuck if you prefer. Got it, baby. So that would be, let me see if I can do it correct. Q Bic ick. Yeah, I got it right there. I'll leave it alone. I think I'm doing it. Q is the origin. That works. Whoop, whoop.
All right, hey, Pedro, we only got a few minutes left here. We've hit the conspiracy theories. We've talked about the Fed. We've talked about the debt. Let's finish off the evening with a little Bitcoin talk.
Yeah.
We haven't discussed where it's going this week. How did it open today? And if you be with us, if you've watched us enough, you know that on Mondays, if it does one thing, it's likely on Friday to do the other. But let's give everyone a little week outlook here.
here real quick. All right, guys, check it out. All right, so we're watching BTC already for the week go up. You guys always know on Monday, and it did do what I expected what it was going to do. I said on the weekend, it will most likely, we see the sell-off, we'll most likely see it go up on Saturday, Sunday, and stay within this area here. If you go back and look at Friday's video, this is what I talked about. And then on Monday, I was hoping we would see it go down is what I wanted to see. Tap these lows right here, right? And then see it go back up. Unfortunately, and I hate to use that word, it came up to our area here. I said, I was hoping this would happen during the weekend where we actually would go up here, hit this area, and then see it go down. But unfortunately, we came up here on Monday where we're seeing it go up, hit our area right here of that 110, 112, and now we're seeing a bit of most likely a sell off. So we'll wait and see. The fact that we're seeing it go down into this evening is a good sign, thinking that we might see it go up. But unfortunately, most likely we will see it below by the end of the week, that 107 to potentially that 106 area. I hope it is a small wick that we see. But this is kind of what I'm expecting here, and see this go up and then come down during the summer, or see it go down into the evening, up into the afternoon, or see it down in the evening, and early morning, see it come back up, see it go up into the New York Open, and then after that see a bit of a sell-off, and then Wednesday happen, go up in the morning or go up in the evening, see it sell off, getting back into this area right here, and then from here most likely coming back down into that lower area where we finish off red for the week. So that's typically kind of like what I'm expecting to see, unfortunately.
Well, and for those of you who haven't watched this in a while, Pedro and I have been talking about, and I don't have the charts up behind me because I'm remote in a hotel room right now, but we've been talking about October and its pattern. The first, if you recall, the week one of, if you look at your chart, pick up the daily chart or an hourly chart. The week one, we went up significantly. Week two, we came back down. Week three, we called that it was going to go up or consolidate a little bit. Kind of flim flam, but week three actually we finished down a little bit. In week four we were talking about, because October is one of those 5-week months this year, so it's kind of weird. And so the week 4 and 5, I didn't have a good idea on just where to go with that. So it's assuming at some point we're going to see a super pump for Pumptober. But in the end of week 3, we kind of started coming down. Week 4, Pedro's just talking about it coming down, hitting these lower liquidity levels. So it's entirely possible that week 4 will be the additional week down we saw coming down to liquidity levels. And week 5 is a
skyrocket.
I mean, it's likely to follow the plan, because Bitcoin market makers around the world tune into our show and say, well, if that's what Tom and Pedro are doing.
That's exactly what happens. That is exactly.
But so that's the idea. Sorry if there's noise here. I actually have fireworks going on. I'm not in Chicago. It's not gunfire. I'm in Toronto.
So I do expect to see us by the end of the week. So this week, if we see it go down, that's not the end of the world as we know it. What it will mean, though, is by next week, we should see it moon, right? So I would like for it to go down this week. That would not be a bad thing, right? To see it go down this week, where we, again, pull the liquidity at these lower levels here. There is liquidity here. You know, sorry guys, you're like freaking Pedro. All right, but this lower level of that 103 is a good area for it to pull back down into, to pull liquidity, and then to see the rest of next week just skyrocket in flight. Absolute delight. That's not the words, but it's okay. I was trying to make it. Let's go Bitcoin. It all just depends on kind of what happens tonight and tomorrow, right? And that will set up for the week for next week. And I want to see market moon. Let's go. I'm going to remove this, and I'm going to take these off here. These are flip zone. This would be a flip zone here, but I want to wait. I'm going to put one right here. As I burp into our audience ear. I'm so sorry, guys. It's really
That's
gross.
right. All night, Pedro, I haven't put it through the broadcast monitor to your ear, but we've had the Galactic Cruiser warp noise in the background, otherwise known as something like brown noise. And so maybe some of you are probably like, "What's going on?" It's the Space Lounge music.
The Space Lounge.
But anyway, now everybody can hear the Gotta Go music.
All right. Well, we have one viewer. We appreciate that one viewer. Thanks for coming. Jason Spurgeon.
Yeah, husband of Shireen. No. Shireen. Sea Witch is from the 1775 coffee ad. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for joining us in the Space Lounge tonight. I love doing the Space Lounge when I get the time to do it, especially those nights. And Mrs. Striking isn't with me. It's the first night in a while, so we had some time to do the Space Lounge, especially from this great hotel room in Toronto. Down the road, even though I'm a Cubs fan, I'm rooting for the Blue Jays here to beat the evil Mariners and go to the World Series for that. So for all of you that are out there watching the show, thanks a lot. Apparently, Pedro's audio just cut out. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, have a good evening, everybody. And, well, Pedro, we'll see you tomorrow. Hold on, I'm getting the right button. I'm remote here, everybody. Anyway, once again, ladies and gentlemen, man in the box, next to me, Mr. Pedro Garcia. My name is Striking, otherwise known as Tom in the real world. We'll see you tomorrow. Oh, that's the commercial. There we go. It's amazing how often I do that. All right, everybody. Adios.